Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a tutorial on how to record high-quality FPS gameplay through OBS 20.0.1 64-bit Windows version. This tutorial should remain prevalent for any sub-version releases of OBS 20. So, we're going to look at recording, or I'm going to tell you all the settings I use to record my gameplay here with 60 FPS and 1080p quality. Now, a lot of people are starting to upgrade to a 1440p monitor, but this tutorial will be for people who want to record in very easy HD quality. I'm not going to go into any description because this tutorial is not an in-depth one with OBS, although I could take 30 minutes to describe everything, but I will not. And I'm going to show you what I use. So in here, scene, sources, mixer, scene, transitions, and controls. If you already know how these work, good for you. If not, I suggest looking up another tutorial on how to use this. But you can follow me along and I'll quickly go through making the scene and the source. So here I already made a, for sake of tutorial, we're going to remove that. And I already have all my scenes here, and this will give you your preset for your sources. But in this case, we're only going to record some raw footage. So what I am going to do here is add a scene and call it PUBG. So I want to record player unknown, and in my source, I'm going to add a game capture or display capture, whatever works for you, but I highly recommend to record in high quality, you hit game capture. Now, game capture is going to record specifically the game capture, the game executable file itself and not your whole display, and it will save you some power in your CPU and graphics, depending on what you have. Now, PUBG scene is what our source is, what I'm going to call this. Does not matter. Now, once you get to this, you have your properties menu. I highly suggest you capture a specific window. You can have it capture any full screen application. So if you do have another game that is full screen and can use the same properties as the source for PUBG alone, you can do that. But I capture a specific window because it will save me a tiny bit of any allocation of possible power in your CPU. And you're going to choose a player unknown Battlegrounds window. Now, you obviously are going to have to, for the first time setting this up, Control-Delete, or switch over to another monitor and not exit out of your game, but essentially minimize it and select it, and then go back into your game. So when you open OBS, it will end up picking up for later use. So Windows match priority, ignore, force scaling. Now, right ahead, if you have a PC that is not high quality, you can hit that right now and downscale your resolution, which is highly not recommended, as this tutorial is for a 1080p quality video for 60 frames. So hit OK and keep it as that. Now you have these red dots here. Sometimes your game's not going to appear in here because OBS likes to decide to essentially put your source all the way up in the corner. These are all 4 dots, all 4 corners stretched up to the corner. Of course, I have no window. It is recording, so I'm actually going to right-click on this, and for the sake of tutorial, hit the transform and fit it to screen so all my borders come out here. The only reason it did that, I think, was because I don't have PlayerUnknown open and selected, so it automatically did that by default. But if it does not pick up, do that option I just showed you. So now for high quality video recordings, go over to your settings tab now that we got that set up, and go to your general. And there's only a couple things here I'm going to point out because this is actually not as important to your recording quality. We're going to go all the way down to here. If you are going to record your streams while streaming and adding those to YouTube as from a local file, you can have this checked, but this does use a lot more power when you're streaming because you are streaming through upload and recording through download. Your computer is going to be a little bit more bogged up with that. So I highly suggest if you're recording to not check that. Skip all these options as they are not pertinent to this tutorial. System tray, some people actually find it not good to have in the system tray, and they'll uncheck this box because while remaining in the background processes, it does use some hard disk space. And if your hard disk gets used up a lot while using your computer, it will slow down performance. So that is optional to you. I leave it enabled. Now we go to the output tab. Change your output mode to advanced and skip over to the recording tab, as it's not as a streaming tutorial. We do not need that. Now type. Change this to keep it at standard. Do not do custom output FFmpeg. That is for more advanced users who are recording many different kinds of quality clips through OBS. So now recording path, choose where you want to put it out. So you can locate the local file after it's done recording. Now recording format automatically goes up to FLV, but I highly suggest doing an MP4. The only reason is because most Windows applications does not recognize FLV as a file type, and you'll have to go and outsource or use a third-party program to convert to MP4, which will in turn lose quality from compressing data, or bits, I should say. So I'd use an MP4. Keep your audio track at 1 unless you have more audio sources. You can put to 2 or 3, however many you have. Encoder, if you have a really good graphics card or you have a GTX, I highly suggest using the GTX graphics card encoding instead of the actual default motherboard onboard encoding option that Windows includes, and use NVENC H.264. Rescale output, keep it at your native resolution, do not change it. Skip custom mixer settings. Change your rate control to CQP if you have a really good processor and graphics card and enough RAM to handle it, as this is the best way to record while not bogging down your CPU completely while playing a video game. CQP is constant quantization parameter and will keep recording same steady quality even due to motion scenes or high motion scenes and still frames within very short frames of time, and it will keep the actual bit size of the video constant. Now 18 is what I use. The sweet spot is recommended to be 20 to 22 CQP, but I do it at 18. It still comes in really good, so I can save some hard disk and CPU power. Keyframe interval, keep at 0. Your preset, I highly suggest keeping it at default unless your computer is completely maxed out on parts, which mine is not. It's close, but not all the way. If you were to have the best parts out there for your computer, put it to either high performance or high quality, but I would recommend high performance because it will actually run OBS a lot better and allow the recording to be more smooth because of the allocation of power. Now, profile switch to high from main because this is actually going to record at a high profile of quality settings. Keep your level at auto. There's no need to change that at all. Do not touch use 2-pass encoding unless you have 2 graphics cards on board. This serves no purpose otherwise. GPU and B-frames. Now, I do not have a good description of why these are 0 and 2, but someone on Reddit posted their quality, their parts on how they record through OBS, and I have similar parts to him, and 0 and 2 works great. I'll remind you, I do have an i7 7700K Intel processor and a GTX GeForce 1070 Ti graphics card in my system, so 0 and 2 will work for that if you have that. Now, audio, you want to keep high quality audio at all times. Put it from 160 to 320 as the highest quality audio bitrate. Now go down to your audio tab, and this actually has nothing to do with quality, but I would keep it at 44.1 kilohertz. Channels of stereo, desktop audio device. Choose your audio device here. Mine is my audio interface that has my ARK system speakers on it, and your mic auxiliary audio device is your microphone you're using for talking in chat or gaming. Now, video here. If I don't know why, if you were to record with high quality stuff, I highly suggest you stay 1920 by 1080 or your native resolution. Make sure these two match, because that is the actual resolution you're seeing your game at, and that's what you want YouTube or any other video software or video third-party application to see. So keep it at that. Downscale filter, changes to lengths, sharpening, scaling through to samples. The more samples essentially means more power to recording. However, it maintains quality having more samples being recorded. It can handle a lot more high motion scenes this way. And your common FPS value is 60. Now, if you want to do a bypass to 61 or 120, you can actually do that. There is a bypass option somewhere in here, and I believe it is the general tab. Cannot find it right now. I'm trying to keep this time limit short, but I usually keep it at 60 because it doesn't use too much power to record. Recording anything higher than that FPS is quite intensive on a computer. Your advanced options, the only thing I'll change is keep this to above normal, unless you have a better computer specs than I already mentioned in the tutorial. Put it to high if you want. NV12 for color format, keep the renderer the same as what it defaultly selects. A YUV color space, put to 709 to give you a better color range, and just keep this as partial because you will not notice a difference. Other than that, you have really set up all the good quality aspects of your recording for local files for gaming. If you have anything lower than the specs I mentioned, and the specs being i7 7700K Intel processor or a GTX 1070 with 16 gigs RAM, the things you can actually change to make it record with better FPS is changing your encode. Well, keep the encoder as the best you can do it. Change the rate control to CBR if you need to, and do a bit rate that is 80% of your actual upload speed. Even though that essentially makes more sense to do for streaming, change your bitrate to something lower and keep it at, start with 3000 and lower it as you go, and then you'll find something that records at good quality. And then you can change your profile. The main will help with frame rate if it's not good enough. And the last thing is to change your output scaled resolution down lower to also increase frame rate if this does not work for you. However, you will sacrifice a lot of quality in doing so. This will be the best way to alone. So, and then you can downscale filter. You can change to bilinear or bicubic. Bilinear is obviously the fastest, but I would try bicubic because you still want to maintain some quality for high motion scenes. And then you can also throttle your own frames, but I would not do that. If you want to do 48 frames, that works too, because you usually see streams in about 30 to 40 FPS, it seems like, so you can lower that to 48 if you would like. Other than that, that is basically all the options you need to record high-quality gameplay. Thank you for watching the tutorial. If you have any questions, I can also add another tutorial on how to set up the mic for OBS. But thank you for watching, and have fun recording gameplay.